The morning sun disappeared over Manhattan, as if someone had flipped a cosmic light switch. Sarah Chen was in the middle of her quantum resonance presentation at Columbia University when the massive shadow fell across the lecture hall windows. Her students' phones buzzed simultaneously with emergency alerts, but they hardly needed them. The ghasts and pointing fingers said everything. Through the reinforced glass, they watched as an impossible object materialized in the sky. The royal warship Eternal Glory emerged from what appeared to be a tear in reality itself, its crystalline structure refracting the remaining sunlight into rainbow patterns across the city skyline. The ship stretched for miles, its translucent hull revealing intricate networks of energy conduits and mysterious machinery within. "Class dismissed," Sarah managed to say, her voice barely a whisper, but none of her students moved. They sat transfixed, watching history unfold through the windows of room 713. Within minutes, every screen on Earth flickered to life with the same image: a towering figure with iridescent scales and multifaceted eyes that seemed to peer into the soul of every human watching. High Admiral Zixthor's translator converted his harmonic speech patterns into every Earth language simultaneously. "People of Earth," the alien commander's voice resonated with an almost musical quality. "Your primitive world has been chosen for integration into the Galactic Empire. Your resources and workforce will serve a greater purpose. You have 48 of your Earth hours to surrender and accept your place in our civilization. Resistance would be—" He paused, his scales shifting color slightly, inadvisable. Sarah's scientific mind was already racing. While others stared at the alien's impressive appearance, she noticed something odd in the energy patterns rippling across the ship's surface. The quantum fluctuations seemed to follow a familiar sequence, reminiscent of her recent research into quantum entanglement. Her phone rang. It was Dr. Paddle from CERN. "Sarah, tell me you're seeing this." The quantum computing expert's voice crackled with excitement and fear. "The energy signatures. They're using quantum fields for everything." Sarah finished her colleague's thought. "The whole ship is basically one massive quantum computer." "Emergency meeting in 30 minutes. Check your secure email for the link. We need every quantum physicist we can get." Sarah looked back at her students, still frozen in their seats. "Those of you in my advanced quantum mechanics class, I want preliminary analysis of any unusual energy patterns you can detect from the ship. Use your phones, cameras, anything that can record data. Send it to my secure server." As her students finally burst into action, Sarah's mind was already calculating possibilities. The Empire clearly had technology far beyond Earth's current capabilities, but they seemed to rely entirely on quantum mechanical principles that she and her colleagues had been studying for decades. The next 48 hours would determine Earth's fate, but while the alien commander projected confidence and superiority, he had overlooked something crucial. Humans had spent centuries learning to overcome seemingly impossible odds through innovation and determination. Sarah packed her laptop, her hands steady despite the gravity of the situation. As she headed for the secure facility beneath the university, where she could join the emergency conference, she allowed herself a small smile. The Empire had made their first mistake. They had assumed humanity would be easy to intimidate. They were about to learn otherwise. Through her office window, the crystalline ship continued to loom over the city, its surface shimmering with quantum energy patterns that just might hold the key to humanity's survival. Sarah Chen had never wanted to be a hero. She was a physicist, a teacher, a seeker of knowledge. But sometimes the most important discoveries came when you were backed into a corner with no choice but to find a solution. The clock was ticking. Earth had 48 hours to prove that humanity wouldn't go quietly into subjugation, and Sarah had a theory that might just save them all. The secure laboratory beneath Columbia University hummed with nervous energy as Sarah Chen stared at her computer screen, her eyes burning from 36 hours without sleep. Coffee cups littered her workspace, testament to her desperate race against time. The quantum energy readings from the eternal glory filled her monitor with dancing patterns that seemed to mock her exhaustion. "There has to be something here," she muttered, rubbing her temples. Her students' data had been invaluable. Smartphone videos revealed energy fluctuations invisible to standard scientific equipment. The Empire's quantum technology operated on principles that seemed to defy conventional physics, yet something about it nagged at her consciousness. A notification popped up on her screen. Another video, this one from an astronomy student who had pointed a modified telescope at the ship's crystalline hull. Sarah clicked play, expecting another dead end. Instead, her hands froze on the keyboard. "That's impossible," she whispered, but the pattern was undeniable. She played the video again, this time running it through her quantum analysis software. The ship's energy shield pulsed with a familiar rhythm, one she had seen in her own failed experiments years ago. Sarah's fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up her old research papers. 3 years ago, she had attempted to create a stable quantum field for data transmission. The project had failed because the quantum states kept collapsing, creating a cascade effect that... "Oh my God," she breathed, suddenly wide awake. The Empire's shield technology wasn't just similar to her failed experiment. It was an advanced version of the same principle. But they had solved the stability problem by using massive amounts of energy to maintain the quantum state. Her phone rang, startling her from her revelation. Dr. Lakshmi Patel from CERN appeared on the video call, her normally immaculate appearance showing signs of the same exhaustion that plagued Sarah. "Sarah, you need to see this." Lakshmi's voice trembled with excitement. "We've been running quantum simulations of the ship's energy field, and it's using synchronized quantum states to maintain stability," Sarah interrupted. "Like my failed transmission experiment, but on a massive scale." "Exactly." Lakshmi's face lit up. "But here's the thing. We've detected micro-fluctuations in the field. Every 18 hours, the entire system recalibrates. There's a moment of vulnerability." Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. If we could generate a counter-frequency during that recalibration. She stopped, the implications hitting her like a physical force. Within minutes, they had coordinated an emergency video conference with quantum physics teams from 47 countries. Screens filled Sarah's lab, showing faces from Beijing to Buenos Aires, all listening intently as she explained her theory. "Their greatest strength is their greatest weakness," Sarah concluded. "The quantum field protecting their ship requires perfect stability. If we can disrupt that stability during a recalibration cycle, their entire system would collapse," finished Dr. Wong from Singapore. "But the energy requirements to create such disruption would be enormous." "Not if we synchronize existing transmission sources," interjected a new voice. All eyes turned to one screen, showing a teenage girl in Nairobi. "I'm Mary Okoro. I work with radio frequencies as a hottie. If we could coordinate every major radio telescope and satellite dish on Earth." The lab erupted in excited discussion as the impossible began to seem possible. Sarah watched the collaboration unfold, her exhaustion forgotten. The Empire had given them 48 hours, expecting surrender. Instead, they had given humanity's greatest minds the time they needed to find a solution. As the sun rose over New York, casting rainbow refractions through the eternal glory's crystalline hull, Sarah finally allowed herself to hope. They had found the ship's weakness. Now they just had to implement the most ambitious scientific undertaking in human history, and they had less than 12 hours to do it. Mary Okoro's fingers danced across her modified radio equipment as the Kenyan sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and purple. The 16-year-old ham radio prodigy had turned her bedroom into an improvised command center, coordinating with other operators worldwide. Her laptop displayed a video conference with Dr. Chen, who listened intently as Mary explained her breakthrough. "The quantum disruption signal needs to be perfectly synchronized," Mary explained, adjusting her headset. "But Earth's curvature creates transmission delays. I found a way to compensate using the existing satellite network." Dr. Chen's eyes widened. "That's brilliant. but the satellites would need to be repositioned without the Empire noticing. Already working on it, came a new voice. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's weathered face appeared on screen from Japan's Nobiyama Radio Observatory. The retired engineer had been called back for this crucial mission. We can disguise the satellite movements as routine maintenance adjustments. The Empire's arrogance works in our favor. They're not paying attention to our primitive technology. Across the globe, humanity's greatest scientific undertaking was taking shape. In India, Dr. Lakshmi Patel's team had converted a quantum computing facility into a signal processing center. Chinese supercomputers crunched massive calculations for optimal signal distribution. European radio telescopes were being subtly modified under the cover of darkness. Sarah Chen supervised it all from her underground lab, fighting exhaustion as she coordinated the global effort. Her phone buzzed. A message from her daughter Amy. "Mom, the aliens are scanning our neighborhood again. When are you coming home?" Sarah's heart clenched. She'd missed Amy's birthday yesterday, and now her daughter was alone while alien ships patrolled overhead. "Soon, sweetheart," she typed back. "I promise." She added a heart emoji, then turned back to her work with renewed determination. In Australia, the park's radio telescope slowly rotated to its new position, its movement masked by what appeared to be routine calibration tests. Similar scenes played out at radio observatories across every continent. Amateur radio operators worldwide checked their equipment, ready to add their signals to the coming disruption. High Admiral Zixthor's daily broadcast filled screens worldwide. "Your time grows short, humans. We see your primitive attempts at preparation. Soon you will understand the futility of resistance." The Empire's scans had detected Earth's frantic activity, but misinterpreted it entirely. They saw the satellite movements as disorganized panic, the radio signals as meaningless chatter. Their arrogance had become humanity's greatest advantage. "Final coordination check," Sarah announced to the global team. "Mary, status on the signal synchronization." "Ready," the teenager confirmed, her voice steady despite the enormous responsibility. "All amateur radio operators report ready status." "Dr. Tanaka, satellite positioning." "Complete," the Japanese engineer replied, disguised as routine orbital adjustments. "Dr. Patel, quantum calculations." "Verified and distributed to all nodes," came the response from India. Sarah took a deep breath, looking at the faces on her screen. Scientists, engineers, students, and volunteers from every corner of Earth. Humanity had never been more united, more focused on a single goal. The Empire had expected to find a primitive, divided world. Instead, they had awakened something unprecedented. True global cooperation. 6 hours until the next shield recalibration. Sarah announced. "Let's run one final test. Mary, you have the lead on signal coordination." As Mary began the test sequence, Sarah glanced at her phone's background picture. Amy's smiling face at last year's science fair. Everything they were attempting was theoretically possible, but had never been done at this scale. If they failed, the Empire would surely discover their plan. But failure wasn't an option. Not with Earth's freedom at stake. Not with Amy's future hanging in the balance. The greatest hack in human history was about to begin, and the Empire still had no idea what was coming. A small scout ship from the Eternal Glory hovered over Antarctica's McMurdo station, its crystalline surface reflecting the endless polar day. Inside the research station's central control room, Sarah Chen held her breath as she watched the readings on her laptop. Everything they had theorized was about to be tested on a much smaller scale. "All stations report ready." Mary Okoro's voice came through the secure channel from Kenya. Despite the late hour in Nairobi, the teenage radio prodigy sounded alert and focused. Antarctic radio array synchronized. Quantum frequency matched target. Dr. Tanaka's voice crackled from Japan. "Satellite positioning optimal. Weather conditions clear. We have a perfect testing window." Sarah glanced at the countdown timer. The scout ship's shield would undergo its minor recalibration in exactly 30 seconds, a smaller version of the main ship's process. Their window would last exactly 3.7 seconds. "This is our only chance to test the theory," Sarah reminded everyone. "If we fail, the Empire will detect our attempt. If we succeed, we'll know we can take down the big one." Dr. Patel finished from her station in India. Quantum calculations locked in. "Ready on your mark." The scout ship continued its patrol, its crew completely unaware they were about to make history. Sarah watched the timer tick down, her fingers hovering over the initiation key. Everything they had theorized, every calculation, every synchronized signal, was about to be put to the test. 5 seconds, she announced. 4, 3, 2, 1. Initiate. Around the Antarctic continent, hidden radio arrays powered up. Satellites adjusted their positions by millimeters. Mary's network of ham radio operators added their precisely timed signals to the mix. For 3.7 seconds, they generated a quantum interference pattern designed to disrupt the scout ship's shield during its recalibration. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The scout ship's crystalline surface clouded over like breath on a mirror. Its steady hover faltered, and the vessel dropped several meters before emergency systems engage. Inside the ship, bewildered alien crew members watched as their advanced technology temporarily failed. In the McMurdo control room, Sarah and her team held their breath as they watched the sensor readings. The ship's quantum field had destabilized exactly as predicted, if only for a few seconds. Power readings dropped by 97.8% during interference, Dr. Peddle reported, her voice trembling with excitement. Exactly as our calculations predicted. The scout ship's crew, confused but unharmed, initiated emergency protocols. Their shields returned to normal as soon as the test ended, but the proof of concept was clear. Earth's scientists had found their weakness. High Admiral Zixthor's face appeared on the main screen, addressing the scout ship's commander. Sarah quickly activated the sound. "Report this malfunction immediately," the Admiral ordered. "Our sensors detected a power fluctuation in your sector." "Unknown cause, High Admiral," the scout ship commander responded. "Possibly related to this planet's unusual magnetic field. Shields have returned to normal operation." Sarah muted the transmission and allowed herself a small smile. The Empire's arrogance was working in their favor again. They couldn't conceive that primitive humans could affect their advanced technology. "Send the test data to all stations," she instructed. "Mary, your signal synchronization was perfect." Dr. Tanaka. The satellite positioning worked exactly as planned. Messages of celebration flooded the secure channel, but Sarah kept her focus. The test had succeeded, but they had only affected a small scout ship. The Eternal Glory was thousands of times larger, with proportionally stronger shields. They would need every radio telescope, every satellite, every ham radio operator on Earth, working in perfect harmony to replicate this effect on the main ship. She opened her phone and took a risk, sending a quick message to Amy. "Made a breakthrough at work. Empire doesn't stand a chance against human science. Love you." The countdown to their final chance had begun. In 16 hours, they would attempt to disable the most powerful warship in the galaxy with nothing more than radio waves and human ingenuity. The sun rose over every time zone on Earth, illuminating a planet united in purpose. In Tokyo, Dr. Tanaka made his final satellite adjustments with trembling hands. In Nairobi, Mary Okoro coordinated with her global network of ham radio operators, her bedroom command center now filled with additional screens borrowed from her school's computer lab. Sarah Chen stood in her lab beneath Columbia University, watching a real-time display of solar activity that threatened to derail everything. A massive solar flare, the largest recorded in decades, was building on the sun's surface. The flare will hit Earth's magnetosphere exactly 17 minutes before the Eternal Glory's shield recalibration. Dr. Paddle reported from CERN, her voice tense. "It will disrupt our carefully calibrated frequencies." Sarah ran her fingers through her unkempt hair, her mind racing. They had one shot at this. The Empire would surely detect any failed attempt to disable their flagship. The solar flare wasn't just an inconvenience. It was potentially the difference between Earth's freedom and subjugation. "Mary," Sarah called over the secure channel. "Could we use the solar flare to our advantage? Incorporate its frequency into our disruption pattern?" The teenage radio genius fell silent for a moment, her fingers flying over her keyboard. "Yes, yes. If we adjust our timing by 4.3 seconds and recalibrate all frequencies to account for the solar interference." "Dr. Tanaka, can the satellites handle a polar orbit adjustment of 0.3 degrees? "Hi," the Japanese engineer confirmed. "But it must be precise. 1 degree too far, and the Empire will notice." Around the world, amateur radio operators began their final equipment checks. Each person, from retired engineers to college students, represented a crucial node in the quantum disruption network. They had spent hours practicing their timing, knowing that success or failure could hinge on milliseconds. High Admiral Zixthor's smug face appeared on global screens for what he assumed would be his final address before Earth's surrender. "Your time has nearly expired. We see your pitiful preparations. Your primitive technology cannot hope to." The transmission cut off abruptly as Sarah muted it. They needed focus now, not alien propaganda. She opened a secure line to her daughter instead. "Amy, honey, whatever happens in the next hour, stay inside and keep your quantum frequency meter running. Remember what I taught you about reading the patterns." "I will, Mom," Amy replied, her voice steady despite her age. "The Empire made a big mistake thinking humans were primitive, didn't they?" Sarah smiled, pride mixing with determination. "The biggest. I love you, sweetheart. Time to show them what Earth can do." Across the planet, humanity held its collective breath. Radio telescopes swiveled into their final positions. Satellite networks made microscopic adjustments. In her Nairobi bedroom, Mary Okoro ran her final systems check, her small hand steady on the equipment that could help save Earth. Dr. Tanaka's voice came through the secure channel. "Solar flare approaching. Impact in 3 minutes. All stations, implement solar interference protocols," Sarah commanded. "Mary, take the lead on frequency adjustments." "Acknowledged," came responses from around the globe. Amateur radio operators from Santiago to Siberia checked their modified equipment one last time. The eternal glory loomed overhead, its crystalline surface shimmering with quantum energy that would soon be its undoing. Sarah glanced at the countdown timer. 20 minutes until the ship's shield recalibration. 20 minutes until humanity would prove that innovation and unity could overcome any technological gap. 20 minutes until Earth would demonstrate why it should never be underestimated. The solar flare approach, its massive energy ready to either doom their plans or become the key to their success. Everything depended on what happened next. The solar flare struck Earth's magnetosphere with the force of 1,000 lightning bolts. Inside her makeshift command center, Mary Okoro watched as electromagnetic interference patterns danced across her screens. Instead of disrupting their plans, the solar storm was amplifying their signal strength exactly as they'd hoped. "Solar interference integration complete," she announced, her young voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. All stations reporting enhanced signal strength of 23%. In her underground lab, Sarah Chen watched the quantum frequency readings climb. The eternal glory's shield harmonics were beginning to shift, the prelude to its recalibration sequence. Years of scientific research, decades of human technological advancement, and hours of global cooperation had led to this moment. 2 minutes to shield recalibration, Dr. Paddle reported from CERN. "Quantum calculations adjusted for solar amplification. We're ready." Dr. Tanaka's voice crackled from Japan. "Satellite network locked in optimal position. Radio telescope array standing by." High Admiral Zixthor's final message boomed across Earth's communications networks. "Your time has expired. Prepare for." The alien commander's words cut off mid-sentence as Sarah initiated the quantum interference protocol. Around the world, radio telescopes powered up. Satellites adjusted their positions with microscopic precision. Amateur radio operators activated their modified equipment, adding their signals to the growing wave of quantum disruption. Mary's fingers flew across her controls, coordinating the global network with millisecond accuracy. Primary frequency matrix engaging. Now, the effect began at the Eternal Glory's bow, spreading across its crystalline surface like frost on a window. The mighty warship's quantum shield harmonics faltered, trying to compensate for the unexpected interference. Inside the ship, alien crew members watched in confusion as their advanced technology began to fail. Shield integrity at 60% and falling, Dr. Peddle reported, excitement creeping into her voice. The disruption is working. Sarah monitored the quantum readings, her heart pounding. Maintain frequency lock. Mary, how's the signal synchronization? Perfect. The teenage radio genius replied. The solar flare is actually helping stabilize our interference pattern. They never saw this coming. Through the lab's video feed, Sarah watched as the Eternal Glory's transparent hull turned cloudy. Emergency lights flickered across its surface as backup systems tried to compensate. But Earth's synchronized quantum disruption, amplified by the solar flare and coordinated through Mary's brilliant frequency management, was overwhelming the ship's defenses. Shield integrity at 20%, Dr. Patil announced. Their quantum field is collapsing. On her screen, Sarah saw High Admiral Zixthor's face appear briefly, his expression shifting from confusion to disbelief as he realized what was happening. The Empire's most powerful warship, disabled not by advanced weapons, but by the very primitive technology they had dismissed. Shield failure cascade beginning, Dr. Tanaka reported calmly. All ship systems dependent on quantum field integrity are shutting down. The Eternal Glory's lights flickered and died, section by section. The mighty warship, pride of the Empire's fleet, hung powerless in Earth's orbit. No weapons fired, no lives lost, just human ingenuity triumphing over overwhelming odds. In her Nairobi bedroom, Mary Okoro let out a whoop of joy that was echoed by radio operators worldwide. Dr. Tanaka allowed himself a small smile as he watched the satellite readings confirm their success. At CERN, Dr. Patel's team broke into spontaneous applause. Sarah Chen closed her eyes for a moment, relief washing over her. Then she opened them and squared her shoulders. They had won the battle, but the real challenge and opportunity was just beginning. Earth would need to negotiate from this position of strength, showing the Empire that humanity could be a powerful ally rather than a conquered subject. The Eternal Glory hung silent in orbit, a testament to humanity's greatest qualities: innovation, cooperation, and the undying spirit of scientific discovery. The Eternal Glory drifted in Earth's orbit, its once gleaming crystalline surface now clouded and dark. Inside the massive warship, 12,000 crew members faced an uncomfortable reality. They were at the mercy of the primitive species they had come to conquer. Sarah Chen stood before the United Nations Security Council, her lab coat exchanged for a formal suit. On screens behind her, data scrolled showing the disabled warship's status. The quantum disruption field remains stable, she reported. Their systems will remain offline until we choose to release them. In the front row, Mary Okoro sat with her parents, the teenage radio genius now a symbol of Earth's innovative spirit. She had received calls from universities worldwide, offering her early admission and scholarships. But right now, her focus was on the diplomatic challenge ahead. The Empire's crew faces a choice, Sarah continued. Their life support systems have approximately 72 hours of backup power. They can either accept our assistance, on our terms, or wait for a rescue that would take weeks to arrive. On the main screen, High Admiral Zixthor's face appeared. The once proud commander's scales had dulled, his multifaceted eyes showing a new emotion: respect. You have proven yourselves far more capable than we anticipated, he admitted. The Empire requests assistance. A smile tugged at Sarah's lips, We're prepared to help restore your ship's basic functions, Admiral. But first, let's discuss Earth's terms. The next 12 hours became a crash course in interstellar diplomacy. Dr. Patel led a team analyzing the ship's quantum technology, ensuring they could restore essential systems without compromising Earth's advantage. Dr. Tanaka coordinated with space agencies worldwide to prepare rescue operations. Mary's radio network proved invaluable once again, this time coordinating communications between Earth's representatives and various sections of the powerless warship. Her innovative frequency management system became the foundation for a new type of interstellar communication. In her private moments, Sarah finally called Amy. "How would you like to visit a real alien spaceship, sweetheart?" "Really? Can I bring my quantum frequency meter?" "Of course. In fact, you might help teach some alien engineers about how we detected their shield frequencies." The negotiations proceeded faster than anyone expected. The Empire's Council of Elders, watching via quantum transmission, saw an opportunity where their military had seen only a target. Earth had proven itself not just capable of defending itself, but of advancing quantum science beyond the Empire's understanding. "Your quantum interference technique," High Admiral Zix Thor admitted during one session, "we never imagined it was possible. Our scientists would be eager to learn from yours." "Knowledge sharing goes both ways," Sarah responded. "Earth is ready to join the galactic community. As equals, not subjects." The final treaty took shape. Earth would retain the quantum disruption technology as a defensive measure, but would share its scientific innovations with the Empire. In return, the Empire would recognize Earth's sovereignty and sponsor its membership in the Galactic Council. Mary Okoro received special recognition. The Empire's Science Academy, for the first time in its history, offered membership to a scientist from an emerging world. "Technical innovation knows no age limit," she declared in her acceptance speech, her parents beaming proudly beside her. As Earth scientists began helping restore the eternal glory systems, Sarah watched from the UN observation deck. The ship's crystalline surface was gradually regaining its transparency, but something had fundamentally changed. The Empire had arrived expecting to find primitives, and instead discovered equals. "Mom," Amy called, running up with her quantum meter beeping. "The alien engineers want to know how I modified it to detect their shield frequencies." Sarah hugged her daughter, watching Earth's future unfold in the sky above. Sometimes the greatest victories came not from superiority, but from showing others that cooperation was better than conquest. 6 months after the day that changed Earth forever, the eternal glory had been transformed. Its crystalline hull now sparkled with a mix of alien and human technology, serving as humanity's first galactic embassy. The massive ship that once came to conquer now orbited Earth as a symbol of cooperation between worlds. Sarah Chen stood in what had once been the ship's command center, now converted into a quantum research laboratory. Around her, human and alien scientists worked side by side, combining their knowledge to push the boundaries of science further than either civilization could have managed alone. "The quantum frequency modulators are ready for testing," announced Amy, now a regular visitor to the lab and unofficial ambassador between human and alien children. She had started a science club that included both species, teaching alien young ones about Earth's innovative approach to quantum physics. Mary Okoro's voice came through the new quantum communication system she had helped design, confirming signal stability from Nairobi. "The new hybrid technology is performing better than projected." The teenage genius had become Earth's youngest member of the Galactic Science Council, her radio frequency management system revolutionizing interstellar communication. Universities could wait. She was too busy teaching alien scientists about human ingenuity while learning about advanced technologies from across the galaxy. Dr. Tanaka emerged from his retirement to lead Earth's first interstellar satellite program, combining his expertise with alien quantum technology. His network of modified Earth satellites had become the foundation for a new galactic communication grid. In her quantum lab aboard the Eternal Glory, Dr. Patel collaborated with Empire scientists on a project that would have seemed impossible months ago, developing clean energy technology that combined human innovation with alien quantum engineering. High Admiral Zixthor, who had chosen to remain on Earth as the Empire's ambassador, entered the laboratory. His scales now shifted through friendly colors as he approached Sarah. "The Empire's Council of Elders has finished reviewing your proposal," he announced. "They've approved the establishment of the first Joint Species Scientific Academy. Earth will host the galaxy's brightest minds, all working together rather than competing." Sarah smiled, remembering how different things had been half a year ago. "And to think, you once called us primitive." "The greatest scientific minds in the Empire now study Earth's history," Zixthor admitted. "Your species accomplished in centuries what took others millennia. Your ability to innovate under pressure, to unite despite differences, these are traits the galaxy needs." The ship's viewing deck had become a popular spot for both species. Students from Earth's universities would sit for hours with alien scholars, sharing ideas and planning joint research projects. The quantum disruption technology that had disabled the mighty Warship had evolved into a new field of study, with applications in clean energy, medical science, and space exploration. Sarah found Amy on the viewing deck, teaching a group of alien children about Earth's weather patterns while they taught her about atmospheric conditions on their homeworlds. The scene embodied everything they had achieved. Not just survival, but true cooperation and mutual growth. "Mom," Amy called out, "did you know their world has purple rain? We're designing an experiment to recreate it in the lab." Sarah joined the group, watching Earth rotate peacefully below. The planet had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger, wiser, and more united. They had proved that humanity's greatest weapons were not devices of destruction, but the powers of innovation, cooperation, and unwavering determination. The eternal glory, once an instrument of conquest, now served as a bridge between worlds. Inside its transformed hull, the future of two civilizations, and countless others to come, was being written by those who dared to reach across the stars and find not enemies, but partners in the greatest adventure of all, discovery.